Harris, I have to tell our audience, during the commercial break, I did say, you're so good at taking something that's so complex and really making it understandable in terms of kind of the science and technology behind what's going on. Thank you.
Well, you know, I do love this stuff. I believe the algorithm for wealth creation is rooted in disruption. And I still think the intersection between analog and digital is by far the most interesting thing in our entire world.
What does that mean?
So it means that if you look at the web currently, the web is moving from the individual as an observer to the individual as a participant. And that's all tech enabled through compute. But when you boil it down, where I see tremendous opportunity is there is no question there is a digital world being created. That's really the analog and sister to the real world. And we are seeing individuals now able to move from observing in the web to participating. And they'll, as we see, and it's early, they're participating via a digital avatar, which is a digital representation of who they want to be in that world. The interesting thing about that on the business side is if people are spending large amounts of time in the digital world and they move from observation to participation, then the next thing they're going to do is transact. And that means that branded entities are working overtime on how to translate their brand into the digital environment. So we're seeing right now fashion shows, movie promotions, and the like in the digital world. But very rapidly, we'll see the digital world really become kind of a mirror to the analog world. And it will just be absolute commonplace for an individual to have commingled with their analog ID. They'll have a digital avatar which acts on their behalf in the technology world of 3.0. That's not going away. That will transform the next wave of brand in business. Because think of it, if you're a branded entity and you can go into the online world and with very little friction translate that brand, which already has a following, into sales, that's a very powerful opportunity. And we're seeing branded entities take that in a very aggressive way.
So, Harris, I want to then kind of translate this to the viewer in terms of where should they be spending their time in terms of thinking about where they want to invest without really knowing all the nuts and bolts. But how can you direct people in terms of what to look at?
Well, I think the first thing I look at is what's going to happen vis-a-vis the maturation of Bitcoin. Um, Bitcoin as a currency, given the processing speeds of the network, which was never really intended to be a high transaction, it's too slow to be a transactional medium. There are lots of digital currencies that will enable that. So I guess we'll look to see whether Bitcoin evolves fully as a store of value. It's been typified as digital gold by many commentators. It's currently, from a correlation perspective, in this meltdown, it hasn't acted like digital gold. So I do think close scrutiny on the evolution of Bitcoin, especially as we move from coin rewards to miners, as we go into the end innings on Bitcoin issuing new coins. As everyone knows, it's capped at 21 million. And then the network will move from coins as reward, where the miner is rewarded, the successful miner who solves the algorithm is rewarded with Bitcoin, that will move to the successful miners reward transaction fees. So one of the things I'm watching, Catherine, is will we see a maturation of BTC as a store of value? The second thing I would say is a big opportunity is tokenization, but tangible tokens versus memes.
Okay.
That's going to be, I think.
Okay. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.